Our keynote speaker has a special place in my heart because my angel son, Sammy Lopez, led me to him. Sammy was a Tango 2 patient of Dr. Sima Lalani that inspired the discovery of the disease back in 2016. Sammy loved sports and followed an organization called Uplifting Athletes that was founded by Rob Long. Once you hear Rob's story, you'll understand why Sammy was so inspired by him and the nonprofit work he does through Uplifting Athletes. You'll hear how he was on the cusp of an NFL career and a star college punter at Syracuse when his life completely changed. While his NFL dreams were dashed, a new purpose emerged for Rob. Today, he's the executive director of Uplifting Athletes, a nonprofit using sports to raise awareness and resources for rare diseases. Under his leadership, they've raised over $9 million to develop leaders and fund research, create uplifting experiences, and expand rare disease awareness. The Tango 2 Research Foundation received $20,000 in matching grant funding for early-stage investigators from Uplifting Athletes. In 2023, my husband Johnny and I had the distinct pleasure of seeing Rob at the Eagles Stadium in Philadelphia for the Young Investigators Draft. It is with great pleasure that I introduce all of you to Rob Long.
All right. My name's Rob Long. I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm so sorry I couldn't be here with all of you in person. American Airlines apparently had a different idea of my attendance. So I'm going to do my best to share a little bit about myself, my story, the work that we do with Uplifting Athletes with you all virtually. So I want to thank Ann and the team for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here, be a part of this special conference. And I guess without further ado, I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with actually a poem. It's something that I came across not too long ago, but something that has meant a lot to me, something that I think about often, and I think it kind of exemplifies life in many ways. So it's a poem by Robert A. Ward. It is called I Wish. So it goes, I wish you the courage to be warm when the world prefer you be cool. I wish success in all of your days. I wish you failure to temper that success. I wish you joy in all of your days, and I wish you sadness so that you may better measure joy. I wish you gladness to overbalance grief. I wish you humor and a twinkle in your eye. I wish you glory and the strength to bear its burdens. I wish you peace in the world in which you live and in the smallest corner of your heart where the truth is kept. I wish you sunshine on your path and storms to season your journey. I wish you faith in the world in which you live. I wish you faith to define your living and your life. And more I cannot wish, except perhaps love to make all of the rest worthwhile. It's something that I think I'll come back to at the end, but something I hope you guys will think about. And as I go through my story, I think you guys will understand why this has meant so much to me. So my story really starts back at Syracuse University. I played football at Syracuse. I was a two-time captain my junior and senior year. I was on a path to play in the NFL. And I was a top punter going into the 2011 NFL draft, and I had the opportunity to basically pursue my dream of being a professional athlete. And that was something that I was so excited and looking forward to. And I worked incredibly hard to reach those goals, and I was so thrilled that, heading into my senior year, all I had to do was to continue to do what I had always done, and I would be able to continue to live my dream and pursue my life as I had set forth. In 2010, I've had my senior year, and during my senior season, I started to kind of have some struggles, wasn't feeling my best. And I was, still did okay, but not to my level. I was having some headaches, having some issues, having some challenges with, headaches, balance, sensitivity to light. Didn't really understand quite what was going on. But as a stubborn 22-year-old, I just kind of tried to power through. Um, 5 days after my last regular season game, I played Boston College, my last game in college, and I finally got to a point where my girlfriend at the time was like, "Look, if you're not going to go see a doctor, like I'm not going to talk to you until you see a doctor." So I finally went. I saw the team doctor, and they said, "Are you stressed? Are you having anxiety? Are you anxious about the NFL? Are these things?" And I was answering these questions. I was like, "No, I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm this, that, and the other thing." And so we couldn't really pin down what was going on. And so went and they said, well, we're going to try and start to rule some things out. They sent me down to the local hospital in Syracuse to get a routine MRI. I got went to the MRI, went in about 5 minutes into the MRI. The tech stopped it and was like, we're going to need to run some more tests. I had no idea what, that meant, didn't know anything. She said, it's going to be fine. It's whatever. So I said, all right. And I finished the test and I go back in that day. I meet with the team doctor again to get the readings of the MRI. And I remember sitting down with the team doctor. I walked into the room with the team doctor and was met by half of the training staff and my coaches. And generally that meant you had some sort of a season-ending injury. So I kind of made a joke of, well, I guess this isn't good. And nobody laughed. Nobody thought it was funny. So I was like, that's that's not good. And so I sat down and the doctor proceeded to tell me that you have a large growth in your brain and you're going to need to see a specialist first thing in the morning. And the magnitude of the situation didn't really hit me at that time. They said you got to call your parents and let them know that you have this growth and that you're going to have to see a specialist in the next the next morning. So I called my dad as I knew I couldn't call my mom with this news. So I called my dad and I said, hey, it was about 8 o'clock at night. He was on his way into work. He was working second shift. And I said, hey, they just found a growth in my brain and I'm going to need to see a specialist first thing in the morning. And I remember on that call, he said, are you kidding me? I just left your mom at your aunt's house. My mom's youngest sister had been diagnosed with breast cancer earlier that day. So in the span of about 6 hours, my mom learned that her youngest sister had breast cancer and that her only and youngest son had a brain tumor. And so the next day, I went into the neurosurgeon's office and I went in and just still trying to be pretty upbeat. I'm pretty try to think pretty optimistic in most situations. So I was like, all right, we'll get the tumor removed and just be on with my way, playing in the NFL and doing whatever it is I need to do. And I remember walking into the doctor's office, the exam room, and up on the screen was my MRI. And I, at 21 years old, had never seen a brain MRI before. And so I was kind of sitting there with the trainer waiting for the doctor to come in. And I said, Leo, what am I looking at? And they said, well, that big dark spot that's not supposed to be there. And I remember it physically like knocking me back into my chair. And I just started to cry because it was the first time I realized that I was in a lot of trouble. And so what followed was I was flown home to Philadelphia that day. I remember the doctor came in and he said, where are you from? I said, I'm from, Philadelphia. And I said, that's where my family is. He said, all right, well, you need to go home and be with your family and you need to deal with this there. And I was like, okay. And so I didn't really know what to do next or where to go next. But went home and got picked up by my dad at the airport and we just tried to figure out what was next. I was fortunate to get an appointment with the chief of neurosurgery at Jefferson University Hospital. And I was sent to Jefferson University Hospital and I met with the doctor and he said, you're going to do brain surgery and then we're going to basically have the pathology report done, and we'll go from there. So I spent my 22nd birthday, December 13th, 2010, being prepped for brain surgery. You can actually see the MRI on the right, the date on there. It is my 22nd birthday, 12/13/2010. And I went in, had my head shaved, and on the first day of my 22nd day of life, I had brain surgery. Brain surgery went well. It lasted a little over 6 hours. Came out of that, and I was like, wow, this is the first time I haven't had a headache in probably about 3 months. And so I was pretty optimistic. You can see my mom thought it was appropriate for me to have a football in my in my bed. So she brought a football for me. But went through and came out of surgery, and I was feeling good. I was like, this is, something that I feel like I'm all right. This is a big hurdle that we've crossed, and now we can move forward. 6 days later, December 20th, 2010, we had the pathology report, and we went back to the hospital, and that's when I was told that I had a grade 3 anaplastic astrocytoma. I was told there's no cure for what I have, and that the 5-year survival rate of that cancer is 15%. The doctors and nurses told my parents that I would likely not live another 36 months. So while the week prior I was celebrating my 22nd birthday, it was apparent that I would not see 25. And so this was an incredible challenge. And this was something that I didn't expect. I had always thought that when you go to the doctor, you walk in and they say, what's wrong? And you tell them what's wrong. And they say, okay, great, here, you take this. It was the first time in my life that I realized that that's not how this works. And to be told at 22 that there's no cure for what you have is a challenge. And I think for me, it was one of those things that it was like, all right, well, we're going to figure out where to go from here. And what followed was 14 months of chemotherapy and 6.5 weeks concurrently of radiation of my whole brain as well. So I went through over a year of treatment. I had the brain surgery, had the radiation, and had chemotherapy. And it was all a very significant challenge. And so going through all of that, didn't really know what I was going to do next. I had an incredible support community of support, my family, my friends, my teammates at Syracuse. And in 2012, my teammates at Syracuse started the Syracuse chapter of Uplifting Athletes in my honor. Uplifting Athletes is a nonprofit organization. The mission is to harness the power of sport to build a community that invests in the lives of people impacted by rare diseases. This is something that, as soon as I learned about the organization, I fell in love with what it did. And I spent from 2012 to 2016, the better part of 4 years, going back up to Syracuse, talking to the team, speaking in the community, working with the football team to raise money and awareness for the rare disease community. And I just fell in love with the mission and the cause. And in 2016, I reached out to the executive director of the time, a gentleman named Scott Shirley, and I said, is there any way that I can do this full time? And fortunately for me, Scott brought me on. And in 2016, I joined Uplifting Athletes as a full-time employee. I spent about a year and a half really just trying to understand how we could best serve the rare disease community with this incredible platform that we had developed. I was so excited to kind of just jump in and learn more and learn as much as I could about the rare disease community and understand how we could have an impact with the program and building this community of athletes and athletic organizations to support the rare disease cause. The more that I learned, the more ingrained I became into the community, the more conferences I attended. I realized that my journey was so similar to so many other families and so many other individuals, regardless that the diagnosis itself may be different, but our experiences, there were so many parallels. So when I joined in 2016, we had always funded rare disease research, but we wanted to really reimagine the way that we could fund and support researchers in the rare disease community. So we came up with this novel idea called the Young Investigator Draft in 2018. So the Young Investigator Draft, this is me speaking at Georgia Tech. This was the first team I spoke to as an employee of Uplifting Athletes in 2016. In 2018, we developed the Young Investigator Draft, and also in 2018, me and my colleague Brett Brackett were promoted to the executive leadership. I took on the executive director role of the Young Investigator Draft, or of Uplifting Athletes, and we launched the Young Investigator Draft. The Young Investigator Draft, simply put, is modeled after the NFL draft, but instead of drafting the top athletes in the country, we draft and fund the next generation of rare disease researchers. It is something that has become near and dear to my heart, and I'll talk more about why, but it is a program that has been incredibly impactful for the rare disease community, and something that when we launched it in 2018, we didn't have a ton of an idea of what we were doing. We had an incredible vision for what was possible, but we really wanted to continue to build the program up and make it a special event. So we launched this program in 2018, and we've had 7 young investigator drafts since 2018. And it has been just a really special event. In the first young investigator draft, we funded 6 researchers, each gave them $10,000 research grants. So we went from funding $60,000 in research the first night to this past February, we funded over $200,000 in research grants to 10 different researchers. So it was something that was incredibly has grown and scaled incredibly well over the last 7 years, and something we're incredibly proud of. It's an event that is held at the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium at Lincoln Financial Field. So when you come to the Young Investigator Draft, you're not just coming to a rare disease event, you're really coming to this really amazing sports venue where you get to tour the locker room and see the field and get the behind the scenes view of an NFL stadium, all while celebrating the next generation of researchers in the rare disease community. One of the things that we talk about at Uplifting Athletes is that we don't always do the best job of talking about ourselves. And so we try to get others to kind of share their words and their perspective. And proud to share Anne's kind words that she'd shared with us about the Young Investigator Draft. And I think what stuck out to me and to our organization was that there's one thing that Anne really identified that was so important to us, is that the Young Investigator Draft is about providing a glimmer of hope and a promise of answers. And that's something that has always resonated with us. And incredibly proud to say that we have worked with the Tango 2 Research Foundation over the last 2 years through the Young Investigator Draft to fund researchers. And in 2023, Dr. Nishanti from Harvard Medical School, and then in 2024, Dr. Wilderman from the Baylor College of Medicine. And I think this is an amazing opportunity for us to work and partner with the Tango 2 Research Foundation. One of the things that I was so excited to talk about and to share in the leading up to this preparation and this meeting, I really learned about how Tango 2 Research Foundation learned about uplifting athletes. And this very special individual named Sammy Lopez. Sammy is somebody who is revered in the Tango 2 community. I know you guys think so highly of Sammy and all that he has done for the community. And I learned about how Marcy found out that Sammy was following and liking uplifting athletes tweets on social media, and brought this to Anne and said, hey, I think this is an organization that we could get involved with. And so it is the legacy of Sammy and the impact that he has had that has allowed this partnership and these research grants to be funded, and us to continue to build and invest in this relationship and this partnership together, which is, I think, really amazing. What's even more special is that Marcy and Johnny, Sammy's parents, were able to join us at the 2023 Young Investigator Draft. And I was hoping to be there to see you guys all in person. But I promise I will get to the next conference. I will be there. And here's another picture of Marcy and I at the 2023 Young Investigator Draft. This program is grown. I mentioned that first year we started in 2018. We had funded $60,000 in research grants. This year, we went over $1 million in research grants funded through the program. It's an incredible milestone for us. We've had 5 researchers that have been selected to receive NIH grants based on the seed funding, which has turned tens of thousands of dollars of research into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's something that it is planting that seed. It's that ripple effect that we're so excited that uplifting athletes can be a part of. I wanted to quickly share kind of my personal connection to this program. This gentleman here is Dr. Malcolm Stevens. Dr. Stevens is a researcher. He is also credited with developing the first ever chemotherapy to penetrate the blood-brain barrier. I had an opportunity to connect with Dr. Stevens. He actually developed the chemotherapy that I was given in 2010 called temozolomide. I found out that Dr. Stevens was not only still alive at the age of 86, but he was still doing his research at the University of Nottingham. And I reached out to Dr. Stevens and I shared with him that, A, I wanted to thank you for saving my life, and B, I wanted to share with you, what we had accomplished with uplifting athletes and through our young investigator draft and providing opportunities for researchers. And now we have funded over 54 researchers through the program. And I just wanted him to know the impact that he had had. And when I sent the email to him, I didn't really expect much of anything in return. And what I got back was one of the best and coolest emails of my life. And Dr. Stevens shared with me that when he was a young researcher in the late 1970s, early 1980, he received a small seed grant, just like the ones that Uplifting Athletes gives. He had received a small seed grant from a nonprofit organization in the UK. And with that seed grant, he was able to hire a research assistant whose name was also Rob. And in a small lab in Birmingham, England in 1980, they first synthesized temozolomide. And it took over 2 decades for that chemotherapy to be FDA approved, but was months prior to my diagnosis. And while this chemotherapy was approved for a separate type of brain cancer, it was accessible to my doctors to use for me off label. And so I took this chemotherapy more than 6 years before any clinical trials happened in my disease, and almost a full 20 years prior to it actually being approved as the first line treatment for my type of brain cancer, which happened just last fall. And so it's amazing to me to see the importance of the investment in research that we can make and the ripple effect that has. This opportunity has allowed us to be able to share with our researchers that we funded that we have this proof of concept. And I am fortunate to be kind of that living proof of concept that this investment in early stage researchers makes the world of difference as we go through this process over decades. And my hope for the researchers that we fund is that they have the opportunity to one day meet the researchers, or I'm sorry, that they have the opportunity to one day meet the families that they and the individuals whose lives they've saved that have allowed them to spend more time with their loved ones. So for me, just a really cool program that has continued to grow and evolve. And so the Young Investigator Draft has been a big success in pretty much any measure. But for us, we really wanted to kind of be also as an organization, understand how we can help families for the here and now. And what we were able to do in 2022 was to launch a program called Uplifting Experiences. And Uplifting Experiences provides opportunities for families and individuals impacted by a rare disease to connect with our network of athletes and athletic organizations. This is something that we have launched our first full year in 2023. We planned to do 20 events. We ended up doing 31 events and had over 390 people come through the program. As we sit here in 2024, on June 24th of 2024, no less, we plan to do about 30 to 40 events this year. We've already completed or scheduled 47 events, have had over 400 people come through the program. And so it has really taken off. It is something that we have partnered with NFL teams, Major League Baseball teams, and to host and serve families through either game day experiences, practice visits, special events. This is our Notre Dame bowling event. This happened just yesterday in South Bend, Indiana. We had over 100 people impacted by rare diseases join us for a special event with the Notre Dame football team. So it is something that we're really excited to be able to continue to push forward. I have a couple pictures here. I know I want to be cognizant of time. And the thing that I had said before, we have amazing people that provide feedback that talk about our programs in a way that they tend to do it better than we can. Effie said that this has awakened a newfound belief within me that we can do more. And that is really the essence of the program is we want to provide these opportunities, make families know that who are impacted by rare diseases that they are included, they are welcome, and they have every opportunity to enjoy these unique events and experiences that we can provide. I want to finish up with some final thoughts, and I want to thank you guys so much for having me. But when I think about the challenges that I have personally faced, some of the biggest challenges, some of the biggest lessons in my life have turned out to be the biggest blessings. And everything that I just shared over the last 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes or so, I don't think it would have been possible had I not had experienced those worst days of my life when I was diagnosed with my brain cancer in 2010. It is, I'm not going to say that everything always happens for a reason because I know there's things that are unexplainable, but I am also tend to be an eternal optimist and trying to find the good in situations. And I think it is going back to the poem that I shared at the beginning is there's a balance in life, the successes and the failures and what those lead to, the joy and the sadness and being able to measure that joy because you've experienced sadness. These things in life that we experience are what makes us uniquely human. And the one other thing I want to add is that when I was going through my journey early on, I met a gentleman named Dr. David Feigenbaum. If you don't know his story, he has a New York Times bestselling book called Chasing My Cure. He's a fantastic human being. A very, very short synopsis of his story is that he was a individual diagnosed with a rare disease and then went on to be able to actually find a treatment for his own disease and saved his own life and the lives of many others like him. And I remember sitting down with Dr. Feigenbaum and saying, hey, like, do I have to go back to medical school to figure out how to treat brain cancer and save myself? And he politely told me not to do that. And rather, he said, we all have a role to play. And that always stuck with me. And he said, if you have the ability to tell your story, to share your story, and to get more people to listen, to raise more awareness, to get more people to support rare disease research, then that is what you can do. Because if we don't have the money, if we don't have the awareness, then the researchers being in a lab doesn't really do anything for us. And you guys are all together at the Tango 2 Research Foundation. You guys have an incredible community. I encourage you all and challenge you all to find what your unique superpower is and to use that to make the world around you better, whether that is through the Tango 2 Research Foundation, whether that's in your community. However it is, I think we all have a unique ability and a unique role that we can play. So I wanted to thank you all for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know we're a little tight on time, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. But I hope you all have an amazing time there, and I hope to all see you in person soon. Thank you.